Hola, estudiantes. Today we're going to talk about a concept that is brand new, but is also pretty difficult. And so I want to talk about time with you today. Time in Spanish is very different than time in English, and so it's going to take just a little bit of explaining. You are going to need to watch this whole video so that way you can understand. But here we go. So when we're telling time in Spanish, we're actually going to use the verb ser, which if you remember the conjugations of ser, we had soy, eres, es, somos, and son. We're going to use two of those, es and son. We're going to use S when we're talking about anything that's within that 1 o'clock range, all right, because it's singular with 1 o'clock. So if we said 1:15, 1:30, or even 12:45, but you don't understand that yet, you would use S. You're going to use son for anything else because that is plural. So from 2 o'clock through 12 o'clock, you're going to use son because that is a plural verb. And so S if it's talking about 1 o'clock, son if it's 2 through 12. And then we're going to talking about the minutes. And so in Spanish, from 1 minute past, so these are our minutes section, from 1 minute past to 30 minutes past, we're going to add to the hour. We're going to use the word and, which is y in Spanish, to do that. So if I wanted to say it's 1:05, I would say es la 1:05. So that part's not too bad, but we're only doing that from 1 minute past to 30 minutes past. Where it gets complicated is when we are doing from 31 minutes after the hour to 59 minutes. And instead of adding, we're going to subtract from the next hour. And that's where it gets a little tricky. So we're going to use the word menos, which you've seen before, which is the word for minus, to do that. And so I'm going to show you a few examples here, just to kind of help you out a little bit. So again, if it's 1:15, so I'm going to move my clock here. If it's 1:15, okay, that still falls within that 1 minute past to 30 minutes past. So I would say es la 1:15. If I want to do another one, so let's say it's 2:27. Let's move that there, right there. Okay, so if it's 2:27, I would say son las 2:27, because again, it falls within that range, 27. All right? But again, where it gets complicated is when we subtract. So if I want to say it's 1:45, so let's go ahead and do that. It's 1:45. The next hour is 2, okay? So I would say son las 2. Again, it's from that 31 after to 59. I need to subtract from the next hour. So son las 2 menos 5, 10, 15, 15. Son las 2 menos 15. Another one would be, and this sometimes you have to bring in a little bit of math into your brain. So let's do 4:46. Okay, so if it was 4:46, I would say son las 5, because that's the next hour, menos, however many minutes it's going to take to get to 5, which is actually 14, 14. So the whole thing would be son las 5 menos 14. We'll do one more and then we'll move from there. 7:34. Let's do that one. Would look like this, okay? So again, the next hour is 8, and I gotta think, how many minutes is it gonna take for me to get to 8 o'clock? And the answer is, if it's 7:34, it's 26 minutes. So you're gonna say, son las 8 menos, because again, we're subtracting, 26. So it's good and bad in that you have to do math, but the good news is you only have to do numbers 1 through 30. You only have to keep those in your head. So we'll do a few more practice rounds, but I do want to go over a few vocab things with you. So if we're talking about something that's a.m., we're going to use the phrase de la mañana. So if I want to say it's 2 o'clock a.m., I would say son las 2 de la mañana. You'll see down here, there's two ones that we can use for for p.m. Tarde would be afternoon. So if I want to say it's 2 in the afternoon, it'd be son las 2 de la tarde. If I wanted to say it's 6 o'clock at night, I would say son las 2 de la noche. So those three phrases are going to be morning, afternoon, and evening. Another thing that we can talk about, if we're talking about 15 minutes past, you guys know this, you've probably heard people say it, and maybe you say it yourself. But if you want to say it's 15 minutes after 1, some people say it's a quarter after. And in Spanish, you can do the same thing. You could say es la 1:15 or es la 1:15, and that would be saying quarter after. Same thing for half past. Sometimes when we talk about 6:30, we would say son las 6:30 or son las 6:15. y 30. So you could either say 30, 30, or you could say media, which would be half past. Same thing here for 45, except this time we're subtracting. So you would say son las, if we want to say it's 6:45, we would say son las 7 menos, either 15 or cuarto. Okay, so either one of those would work. The only two other vocab words in it, you'll have a note sheet that you can look back at as well and watch this video. But the two other things I want to mention, if it's 12 o'clock p.m., and sometimes people get confused by this still, that's noon, okay? And in Spanish, that word is el mediodía, okay? Which literally means half part of the day, all right? And then if it's 12 a.m., that's midnight, and that word is medianoche, all right? So those are two words that you can use for noon and midnight. The only other thing I'll do before we review really quick, if you want to talk about something at a certain time, instead of saying es la or son las, you could say a las 3, at 3 o'clock, I went to the dentist, okay? So a las 3, you say a las, you're saying at this time, not it is this time, all right? We're going to do a few practice examples and then we'll go from there. So let's say it's 7:30. How do we say that? 7:30. Okay, if you said son las 7:30, which is 30, or son las 7:30, either one would work. What if I wanted to say this one, son las 8 menos cuarto? What time is that? Son las 8 menos cuarto. So you've got to think, 8 is the next hour, okay? And I'm subtracting 15. 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 15. So it's going to be 7:45. Is son las 8 menos cuarto or son las 8 menos 15. We'll do one more. If I said son las 3 menos 5. 3 menos 5. What time would that be? Okay, so again, 3 is the next hour. We're going to subtract 5 minutes. Okay, so if it's 5 minutes until 3 o'clock, what time is it? And the answer is 2:55. So son las 3 menos 5 would be 2:55. Like I said, time in Spanish is just a little bit different than time in English. So if you have questions, I will be doing a live Zoom session today from 2 to 2:30 to help you out. But please watch this video, and if you need to watch it multiple times, you can. There will also be a note sheet for you in Google Classroom that has all the same information if you want to look at something as well. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.